All right, everyone, here we are. Today's date is January 21st, 2026. As most of you have seen, if you're subscribed to my channel and you've seen some of my previous posts, I would like to thank everyone for the well wishes I have received and all the DMs and everything in honor of my grandma Stell, who passed away 1 week ago today. We're all getting by. The family's doing okay, all things given the circumstances. And yeah, so thank you all for your outpouring of support. And now, getting back to a little bit of a distraction, something that brings me a lot of joy, my movie collection. Now, everything that's going to be in this update is mostly all Christmas gifts that I received from friends and family because everybody knows I'm a movie collector. A lot of people have access to my wish list and stuff. So I've got a lot of people sending me stuff and gifting me very generously for Christmas. So gonna go through it here. I still got a little bit of overfill that's gonna be in the next update when I do that February or March. But let's get into it. And the first one here, this one is, I wanted to see this in the theater last year. It sounded cool, it sounded interesting. Drop. I did not really know much about this, really did not know much about the plot. Going into it, watching it, it's basically like the movie it made me think of most was Panic Room. That was the movie, because you're dealing with someone kind of looking at their home surveillance cameras, their home surveillance system, and they're in a position where they can't really do anything about it, in this case, a date. It's funny about this movie, I watched this the night before I actually went on a date. So when I saw that that was kind of the premise of the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, well, if it absolutely tanks, it can't be any worse than the evening this lady was having. And at the end of the day, I thought the movie was just okay. It was very generic. It beat by beat, you kind of knew where it was going, you knew what was happening. By the end, it just sort of became a home invasion thriller, and there wasn't really too much substance, and I thought the ending twist, the ending reveal was just kind of lame, all things considered. So, I mean, I was curious enough to see what would happen, but at the end of the day, this one's just okay. And then, this is one of two movies in this update where the general crux is skiers versus snowboarders. There's another movie I'm going to talk about later in the DVDs with the same premise. The age-old, you've got cats and dogs, you've got skiers and snowboarders, just mortal enemies, in a slasher film called Shredder. Now, I actually bought this myself for the Black Friday sale that MVD was doing. I got this Blu-ray for $4. So I said, okay, you know what? There's a good chance this is going to be trash, but $4, never going to find this any cheaper than that to actually have the Blu-ray. So let's check it out. And the movie itself is pretty bad. It's not that good. The acting is horrendous by pretty much everyone in this. It is so of the time period. That said, though, it is still entertaining in a very, very, very corny way. It's, the death scenes are where I will legitimately give this some props. The death scenes are well done. The characters are so over the top. The acting is so bad. You just kind of cheer for them getting killed. But I mean, the death scenes are legitimately kind of creative and fun to watch in this. So it's not a total loss. It's not a good movie, but for an early 2000s extreme sports slasher romp, you can do worse than this. I mean, it's not that good, but it will at least entertain you for one watch. And then these were both Christmas gifts from my dad, who is contributing to my Sylvester Stallone collection. So he got me Nighthawks and the Lords of Flatbush. I mean, Nighthawks, the big thing with this, though, is that it is a crying shame the original uncut director's cut of this is lost. Because I had never seen this before. I was very late to the party on Nighthawks. watching the movie, you can tell it was butchered, especially at the ending. Oh, you can tell there's story beats missing. There's gore missing. You can tell that the movie was screwed with. But at the same time, how can you hate a movie that stars Sylvester Stallone and Rutger Hauer going up head to head? It's very gritty. It's very grimy. It has that 70s cop grindhouse feel to it, which took a little bit of me getting used to, because that's not really a style I go for too much. But, I mean, that said, it's Nighthawks. What else can I really say about that? Rutger Hauer is awesome in it in his first U.S. breakout role, and Sly rocking that beard and that hair and some insanely 70s outfits. The Lords of Flatbush, I mean, I typically like these slice-of-life dramas set in the days of yesteryear. This one, the story was just not that interesting. The characters were not that likable. Henry Winkler is barely in this, which kind of surprised me. Sylvester Stallone is the main reason to watch this. He is easily the best part and the best character of this. But yeah, I can't really say this one left too much of an impact. I mean, it's not bad by any stretch. It's just the story just didn't really do anything for it. But if you're a fan of the greaser subgenre in the 50s and this type of thing, you'll probably like it a lot more than I did. A better version of this, to me, would be Diner or Big Wednesday. So if you check those two out. And then, I'm always contributing to the Jason Statham collection. So for this update, I got both of his Mechanic films. The Mechanic and Mechanic Resurrection. Which, weirdly, I saw this one first. I saw this in the theater back when it came out with my dad, just because we were looking for something to do on, like, a Sunday afternoon. And between the two of them, I think this is technically the better made movie. But I will say, I like this one more. To me, this one is much more entertaining. You've got Tommy Lee Jones in this, and he is a riot. Just the way he looks, the way he's dressed is funny, the way he talks, the way he acts. Tommy Lee Jones and Jason Statham, that is one hell of a combo. So I was happy that I found a copy of this. And watching this one for the first time, it has the better story. I think it's technically better made. And there is a cool scene with Jason Statham in a garbage truck. But this is the one I would rewatch more. And plus, there was that Rami Malek. I forget what was it called? Like, The Apprentice or something like that. The Account. It was that action revenge movie with Rami Malek where the marketing made a big deal about the scene where he breaks a pool in the air and the guy falls to his death from the skyscraper. Well, I'll tell you what. This movie did that first. So. But both of them are definitely worth a watch. My dad also blindly bought this one for me as a Christmas gift only because Roman Pierce was on the cover. Which is a very valid reason because I love some Tyrese Gibson. And this, you not only have Tyrese Gibson in this, you have Tyrese and you have Frank Grillo as your main villain. I love both of those guys, so it was cool to check out Black and Blue. Now, Tyrese is more of a supporting character in this. This is more Naomi Harris's movie, and she does great. She is an excellent lead. Basically, this comes off to me like kind of like Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez and Dennis Leary, only now it's a cop that kind of has had the media and the public turned against them and everyone's gunning for Naomi Harris. And it's not as good as Judgment Night. This kind of feels almost like something you'd see direct to streaming or like a direct to DVD rental machine back in the day. But it's entertaining. It's good. I mean, Frank Grillo's great. Tyrese is great. Naomi Harris is great. It does everything well. It just doesn't really do too much to really stand out, I think, is the problem with this one. But I really don't have any, like, hardcore complaints about it either, other than it's a serviceable Sunday afternoon action thriller whose cast definitely raises it above average. This one had been on my list for a while, and it just has such a pitch black premise. Like, this is and the way the opening credits are, it is so dark and so screwed up but it's pretty funny. The movie itself is not, like, yeah, it's a dark comedy, but it doesn't go as fucked up as you think it might. It's more, you know, kind of a screwball college comedy. Dead man on campus. The best part about this to me was Lachlan Monroe. He's a trip in this, playing this crazy ass character. He comes back in a post-credit scene, and it just all he plays a guy that just will not die no matter what happens, and he's excels at it. He's the most memorable part, but you know the two leads do good. It's a fun, dark comedy that I think could have pushed the envelope even further. Like when you're dealing with suicide, you know it's definitely a thin ice that you're walking on by doing anything in your plot revolving around that, but it's a fun movie. I did enjoy my time watching Dead Man on Campus, just as kind of, you know, an old school college frat comedy that just happens to have this insanely screwed up undertone about, we need to find a suicidal roommate so we can get free tuition. They would never make something like this nowadays, though, so that's part of the charm. Now, this is a movie, this needs no introduction. I've always been a big fan of this franchise. I just never got around to upgrading my DVD triple feature to a Blu-ray. I've had Psycho 2 on Blu-ray since like a year or two ago. So now finally I found a copy for pretty cheap to pick up of the special edition Blu-ray of Psycho 3, which is directed by Anthony Perkins. It's definitely, this one is such an odd one in the Psycho canon because it goes so closely with Psycho 2, but the way Anthony Perkins directed it and the way the cinematography is, it is so stylish and colorful. It's like a giallo noir film, and there's this religious kind of theme to it with the nun character at the beginning, and so Psycho 3 is a crazy one, but all four of the original Psychos I love. Like, that is, to me, the most underrated, consistent horror franchise of all time. And I saw a TV version of this years ago on AMC when I was a kid that had this opening credits where it was all like mural paintings of the convent and all this religious imagery with this real creepy choral music. I have never been able to find that intro on any home release since then. So I don't know if that was only for the TV version or what that was. There's a commentary on here with the screenwriter, moderated by the legendary Michael Felsher. So, yeah, I don't need to say much about Psycho 3. All four of the original Psycho movies are worth a watch. I need to get 1 and 4 on Blu-ray next. So, Psycho 3, very solid 80s sequel. Alright, this one is the first of my accidental duology of films with Charles S. Dutton, because I got both of these not knowing he was in either of them, but he's not like a lead in either of them, but just a funny coincidence. The first one's going to star Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken. That pair alone had me, sold, and that's going to be Nick of Time, which, speaking of Psycho, this is very much like an Alfred Hitchcock political conspiracy thriller. All I could think while watching this was like, it's like Alfred Hitchcock. And then the plot almost has a slight hint of that movie Snake Eyes with Nicolas Cage, but it more on the Hitchcock side of thing, with Johnny Depp as your lead and Christopher Walken being your very cold-hearted villain while still bringing the Walkenisms to it. It was suspenseful. It kept me on my toes. It kept me wanting to see what would happen next. Charles S. Dutton steals the show. He's great in his scenes. The movie ends a little abruptly, like it ends on kind of a weird note. But for this oddity from the 90s starring Johnny Depp and Christopher Walken, all done in real time, very solid political conspiracy thriller. And then this is a gift from my good friend Ryan down in Florida. He sent this to me for Christmas, got it off my Amazon wish list, where this has been sitting on my wish list for like 4 years. But I just never got around to watching until now. Patrick Swayze, Randy Travis, and Meatloaf, again, one hell of a cast, in Black Dog. This was a lot of fun. This was an entertaining ride of a movie. And this is also the beginning of an accidental theme I did in this update, where I have a lot of road movies. It was not my intention, but these next 4 movies after this are all like road movies and stuff, so which I love. I'm a sucker for. And this one was just a blast. Just an old school B crazy action movie. Meatloaf and Patrick Swayze and Randy Travis playing a guy that can't sing. Like it's what entertainment is made out of. Ryan, you did very well with this. Really enjoyed Black Dog. And this one I really enjoyed too. And this is, again, an unintentional start of a theme with watching movies with Peter Billingsley in them. Did you ever know that before A Christmas Story came out, Ralphie starred in a slasher film? Well, it's true, and that film is going to be Death Valley. And I remember seeing this advertised back in the day because this is one of the first Scream Factory Blu-rays to come out. If memory serves correctly, this is very early in the Scream Factory lifespan. I always remember seeing this cover, and I never checked out the movie. And watching it now, Peter Billingsley, Paul LeMat, who my dad's a big fan of from American Graffiti, Catherine Hicks from Child's Play. Peter Billingsley walks circles around everybody in this movie. For a kid actor, he is amazing in this. He is, like, I love his character in this. Like, he's so fun, and he steals this movie. He carries the whole movie on his back. And this is a movie that has Wilford Brimley in it. He's in it for far too little, but he's still in it, so. But yeah, no, I enjoyed the hell out of this. This crazy early 80s road stalker slasher movie starring Ralphie from A Christmas Story in a movie where he also pretends to shoot Black Bart by name. That sounds familiar. And they give him a real loaded gun to use. It's the spiritual successor or prequel to A Christmas Story. How can you hate it? But yeah, no, this was, I watched it with my dad, and we had a good time watching Death Valley. It's another one I watched with my dad because we love our 70s car movies, our racing movies, road movies. So this one, I got this blindly with the Kino Lorber sale, Kino Lorber sale with this one, as well as the next title I'm going to talk about after this. This one is called King of the Mountain. It's got, featuring a crazy-ass hippie Dennis Hopper as your villain. Movies like this really win my heart over because this was 1981. This is such a time capsule of 1981 Los Angeles. Yes, the car racing is a big part of the story, but it's not the only thing. You have this whole other story happening about the recording industry, and the main guy, Harry Hamlin's friend, is trying to be a songwriter, rock star, and Harry Hamlin falls in love with the singer, and there's this whole thing about the recording sessions and trying to sell their band and recording music in 80s LA, early 80s LA, and then the car stuff. It is such a snapshot in time of this era. I was feeling so hungry and nostalgic for that time watching this. Because, I grew up, my dad was a race car driver. I grew up in shops, and I grew up in auto places very similar to the stuff you see in this movie. And it was all very old school, so the stuff I grew up in was basically still untouched from this type of an era. So movies like this just warm my heart, and I really, really enjoyed that. And hey, crazy Dennis Hopper. And the one I got with that, also featuring Peter Billingsley and one hell of an all-star cast, is Honky Tonk Freeway, which has a reputation as one of the worst comedies of all time, which I'm here to tell you, this is insanely stupid. It's not that good of a movie, but is it one of the worst comedies of all time? No. One of my favorite subgenres of comedy is the ensemble cast, rat race style movie. So you think, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, Scavenger Hunt, Midnight Madness, $1 Million Mystery, of course, Rat Race. I love that kind of stuff, and this is in that frame, which is, considering I had never even heard of this beforehand, and you got Beau Bridges, Beverly D'Angelo, Daniel Stern as like this hippie cocaine dealer guy, and Peter Billingsley, Howard Hesseman. It's really, really, really stupid. And I can't deny that, but I have to recommend it. Because I'm just like, I love this style of movie. early 80s car, just crazy hijinks ensemble movie. Daniel Stern snorting a dead woman's ashes as if it's a drug. And a water skiing elephant. I mean, come on. They don't make them like this anymore. Come on, show this some love. It's not one of the worst movies. It was one of the biggest bombs of all time, but it's not one of the worst. All right, ending out the update here, we have 5 DVDs then. And the first one is the final movie in the road movie subgenre here. And oh my god. This might be one of the greatest, most hilarious, bad movies I've ever seen in my life. And there's not much info about this online anywhere. And my mom got this for me off my wish list for Christmas. And it's cool because this is a Hollywood Video DVD. So I used to shop at Hollywood Video was where I had my membership. Not Blockbuster. We were at Hollywood Video. And this is a movie called The Delivery from 1999. Essentially, this is the Transporter before the Transporter. Only it's done so you have these 2 guys that are supposed to transport all these drugs. And along the way, they're required to check in at all these payphones so the guy ensures that his drugs are on the way. And the drug dealer is holding one of their girlfriends hostage as insurance to make sure they get it there. Nothing goes wrong with the actual delivery of the drugs. They only get interrupted because a car falls out of the sky and they end up having to help this woman and another guy that are in that car, and hijinks just ensue. This is batshit insanity. This is one of the dumbest fucking movies I've ever seen in my life. Nothing that happens in this makes any logical sense. And I loved it. It's such a bad movie banger. There's a scene in this where one of the 2 leads is giving this monologue about how he feels like he's cursed to never find love. Every time I fall in love, she's either married or she wants nothing to do with me. I'm destined to never find love. Like, that's the crux of his monologue. But then he starts telling a story to elaborate on this that involves he was cursed by a 3-foot tall midget after he smashed his glass over the top of the midget's head thinking it was the bar, and the midget cursed him, "You're never gonna find love." So I'm like, is this Stephen King's Thinner? Like, what? Everything about this is just, it has a climax that takes place in a medieval torture dungeon. If you love bad, stupid movies, you gotta seek this out. Red Letter Media, what are you waiting on? This would be a best of the worst, Hall of Famer. Oh, man. And then this came as an inside joke from my coworker, Donald. We just found this in the office. We were screwing around on YouTube on a day it was slow and dead. And we came across the trailer to this movie. And we thought, wow, that looks like the most melodramatic edited trailer for a movie about bull riding ever. So we decided to check it out. It's this movie with Kiefer Sutherland, Daryl Hannah, and Molly Ringwald called Cowboy Up. And I'll be damned, this movie was actually pretty good. It's a typical sports drama, and this time around it's about the rodeo and bull riding, but it's a really strong story about the 2 brothers, Kiefer Sutherland, and then the brother that's the main guy in this. And most of the story hits the beats you would expect it to, but it's really well done. I love the southern vibes of just the rodeos and these bars and everything, the farms that they're on. Kiefer Sutherland, I think, does great, because this was a time before Uber and rideshare, so he wasn't assaulting anybody yet. But he does great, and the ending to this definitely stands out as kind of unexpected. And so, you know what? I've never heard of this. This seems to be incredibly underground of a film, but Cowboy Up, if you're looking for a slightly different, sports drama with a good moral about brotherhood, check this one out. This one's actually pretty decent. The other, I talked about this with Shredder, the other skiers versus snowboarders movie I got, and I thought this would be so stupid it might be funny, with Corey Haim, Jim Varney, and Brigitte Nielsen in Snowboard Academy. This was a piece of shit. Yeah, no, there's really nothing to say. This was not good whatsoever. This, yeah, this was garbage. And then the last two come courtesy also my friend Ryan from Florida, who sent me Black Dog. He sent me a couple others. They're probably going to carry over into the next update just because I haven't had a chance to watch them yet. This one, a couple updates ago for Halloween, I showed the Scareful What You Wish For DVD of the Nightmare Room. Well, he sent me a library copy of the other Nightmare Room DVD, Camp Nowhere, which the episode Camp Nowhere stars a girl who was also in the 90s movie Camp Nowhere, which is a funny coincidence. Cheesy, but it's that 90s kid horror that I grew up on that I have a soft spot for, and I never watched these when I was a kid. So obviously I don't have the same nostalgia value for this as I do Goosebumps, but it's hard for me not to at least get into these. Full Moon Halloween, Don't Forget Me. Those two were okay. The Camp Nowhere two-parter was probably the most memorable of this whole set, but it's good to have, so thank you, Ryan. And then this is one from my childhood, which weirdly enough, Ryan also got a Hollywood Video DVD of this as well, so another accidental theme we're coming across. I had this when I was a kid, when this first came out in like 2004, and so it's good because I lost my copy. I don't know whatever would have happened to it from when I was a kid. So Ryan reunited me with Scooby-Doo and the Loch Ness Monster. I'm a sucker for anything Scooby. I used to watch this one all the time when I was a kid just because I really liked the Scotland setting and I thought it was a cool vibe for the Scooby Gang. So, yeah, thank you, Ryan, for Hollywood Video, Scooby-Doo, Childhood Memories. All right, everyone. Well, that is our very first movie collection update of 2026. I hope you all enjoyed. Another month or so, we'll have another one out for you. I'm sitting on a few movies right now I still need to watch, and there's some that I want to grab, some that I want to watch, and whatever else falls into my lap in the meantime. So, thank you all for watching. Leave your comments down below, and we will talk to you guys later. Thank you.